tell us what was it like when you first received the Down syndrome diagnosis, and can you share that story with us?
Sure. When we first received the diagnosis, it was actually after Andrew was born.
Okay.
We did not have any prenatal indications that we were having a child with Down syndrome, so it came as quite a shock that we didn't have that kind of preparation before his birth. And so while in the hospital absorbing that news, one of the nurses came to me with resources, one of which was Help Me Grow, and the other one was, at the time, Upside of Downs. So that was actually the second call I made once we were home and settled, was to the Upside of Downs, which at the time was a much smaller parent-run organization.
So they told you immediately after birth, or did they give you any type of warning, like we think your child was born with Down syndrome?
So what actually happened was when Andrew was born, he was blue and he had the umbilical cord wrapped around his neck. So he was immediately taken to the NICU, and we thought the worst of things was possibly happening at that time, and we were completely focused on the fact that he wasn't breathing, and we thought that was our biggest concern. It was hours later when I was in my room and getting settled. In fact, my husband had already left and gone home to care for our boys. A nurse came in and said that the doctor was going to be coming in to see me, and was my husband still present? And I said, no, he's gone home. And I said, what is it? Is he okay? Is he breathing? And she said, no, he's breathing. It's fine. The doctor just needs to speak to you and your husband. And at that point, I really pressed the nurse. I was in full-blown out panic mode, pressed her for answers. And although she was not supposed to tell me, she let me know that they had these suspicions that he had a fat pad on the back of his neck, and some of the other markers for Down syndrome. And that was basically how I first learned the news.
And then did the doctor come in, or did he wait until your husband was present?
I immediately called my husband and shared with him what the suspicions were and asked him to return to the hospital. Once he was at the hospital, the doctor then did join us in my room. He also shared the suspicion, but he actually delivered it in a way where he didn't agree with their suspicion. He thought that because of my prenatal testing that I had a completely normal and healthy pregnancy. He didn't think the markers were very defined. And so he said, you know, I kind of doubt what they're saying, but we'll do genetic testing and we'll confirm whether or not that is the diagnosis. So we did the testing and then waited. It was about 10 days before we got the results, and learned through a follow-up visit with our pediatrician that they in fact confirmed his diagnosis.
And how did that make you feel once you got the confirmed diagnosis?
It was very overwhelming. I think we kept trying in those 10 days to convince ourselves this was not what we were going to hear. You know, a lot of prayers. I told the students last week when I was speaking to them that, ironically, in the hospital, my prayers were all about let him survive, let him breathe, you know, let him, and then my prayers quickly turned to, you know, please don't let this be true and be the diagnosis. And so it was very stressful. It was very just, you know, felt like a brick wall, and we just hit a brick wall, and very overwhelming. It was actually my husband he went out to cut the grass after we got home from getting the diagnosis confirmed. He came back in the house at one point and he said to me, we keep asking why us. He said, I think we need to say why not us.
Oh my gosh, I
because
just got goosebumps.
I know, I get choked up talking about it a little bit, but he said, we have so much love to give, and this is obviously a child that God has placed with us because he knows we'll be a loving family and we'll fight for him. And it was actually that moment that kind of just put us on the path of not accepting the conversations about what Drew couldn't do, and just putting our emphasis on focus on the things that he could do, and know that we needed to be his advocates and fight for those things and those rights. So that was a real turning point for us in the early days of getting his diagnosis.
And you said the upside of Downs, now Desanio, was one of your first phone calls.
Yes,
So-
it was Help Me Grow was my first call, and my second call was Upside of Downs, and I remember receiving this incredible box from them that had, couldn't even tell you how many books, books on early childhood education and Down syndrome, books about health and nutrition, all just an overwhelming number of resource books. And then there were also some nice baby gifts for him, contact information, information about fundraisers and Buddy Walk and things like that. So we immediately kind of embraced the group and got involved. I think we attended our first Buddy Walk in 06. I'm trying to think. He was born in 05 in October, so I think it was the following year. And at that time, Buddy Walk was maybe 150 people on an asphalt parking lot in the flats.
Wow, yeah.
Nothing like it is today.
Well, what other memorable moments, like from your work experience or your personal experience, have been particularly impactful in raising your child with Down syndrome?
Actually, one of the most impactful moments, Drew was active in 4-H. They had a Helping Hands program, and children with disabilities could participate in 4-H. So he was showing mini horses, and my niece was kind of his assistant. Do you remember showing the horses?
Oh my gosh, Mom.
Oh my gosh, I know. But he loved showing these mini horses, and we were at the Lorain County Fair one year, and he was in the middle of showing the horse, and I think it was a timed event, if I remember correctly, and in the midst of this time event, he lost the lead, and he kind of was fumbling to regain the lead. Next thing I knew, the entire crowd around the ring started chanting for Drew.
Aww.
And it was one of the first moments, he's had many, but that was one of the first moments where I saw such an outpouring of love and support and encouragement. And it was just jaw-dropping. Like, I was just so happy in that moment to know that so many people cared about his success and wanted to see him, finish that exercise. What? Am I not allowed to tell stories about you?
Well, what can she tell us about you, Drew?
What can I tell you or tell about you?
Yeah. Tell us what's going on with you right now.
What's going on your senior year? So we just had senior night last week. That was another moment. We were getting ready to walk out on the field for senior night, and my son caught this on video, and I'm so thrilled that he did. But when they saw Drew was next in line, one of the students in the student section said, "Hey guys, it's Drew. We got to get loud for Drew." And when they announced Drew's name, the student section just erupted in cheers. And of course, I'm already an emotional mom. I'm trying to walk out on the field, and I'm bawling my eyes out because acceptance at school was one of our major priorities.
Sure.
And
Right.
at school, yes. And it was
You
the
like
reason
school?
we pushed for inclusion, right? You do love school, don't you?
Yay.
Are you going to be sad to graduate?
Huh?
Do you want to stay in school?
So your perceptions definitely have changed about Down syndrome since the diagnosis. What do you want people to understand about it?
I think the thing I would most want people to understand about the diagnosis is to not jump to conclusions about what their abilities will or won't be. I think the fact that Down syndrome is such a broad spectrum, in a similar way as autism is a broad spectrum, you have to be open and focused to their abilities and really push their abilities, because they will surprise you in so many ways, as he has. I think there were many times that we had to fight. It's not easy. I would never tell anyone it's easy, but we just had so many wonderful communities around us, whether it was Down Syndrome Association, Help Me Grow was amazing.
You found those resources.
Found the resources that we needed, embraced the community, got to meet wonderful families, especially in this association, the way families are willing to share, educate, support. I can remember times where Kitty and Michael Drops gave me amazing advice about education and how to navigate the system and communicate effectively. They were amazing in that regard, and it takes so much pressure off of you as an individual when you know all these other families are there for you, willing to offer you advice, or even be present if needed. I know Michael Drops would go to IEP meetings with
Right.
parents,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of those kinds of resources out there. So
What advice would you give a parent who just receives this diagnosis?
the advice I would give any parent on a new diagnosis is to definitely immediately do the reach out to the resources, because it can feel so overwhelming knowing that you're not in it alone, and that there are so many families that have gone down this path before you, and you never know what else in the journey is going to come up. I mean, I know families who had to deal with heart issues and leukemia and other things that Down syndrome children are prone to, but in each of those journeys there was always someone else out there that had been there, done that, and could lift you up and support you. So I think that's the number one thing to do, and also surrounding yourself with good medical professionals. I immediately sought out some pediatricians and some clinics that were very in tune to Down syndrome, and I think that was extremely helpful too.
So October is Down Syndrome Awareness Month, and I mentioned that we're here at Benedictine High School, and we're here to kick off our Changing It Up for Down Syndrome campaign. So tell us what's happening during this campaign. How the
Yes,
schools got involved.
We're very excited here at Benedictine. The students are typically in uniform, so you can imagine when you tell teenage boys that have to wear shirt and tie that they're going to get a dress down day, they get pretty excited and they get behind it. So we announced it a week or so ago. Today we are collecting donations. We did a $3 donation, faculty and staff also getting involved. And just trying to help raise whatever little bit of money we can to help the association out with the services that they provide. It's an amazing organization, and our principal, Mr. Finelli, has actually attended a couple buddy walks, so he had some familiarity and was obviously very willing to have us do this. So definitely excited. Can't wait to hear how much we've raised, and I hope it's hugely successful.
And we'll be seeing the students.
We will be seeing students shortly during our cafeteria time. I hope that they will visit with you guys, learn what volunteer opportunities exist with the association. They do have a service hours requirement for graduation, so this is a perfect opportunity for them to find a new and different way to attain those service hours. So we're excited for them to learn about that as well.
Me too. I can't wait. Well, Lynn, thank you so much for being here and sharing your story with us.
Thank you. We appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Drew.
Say thank you. clown.
Yeah, Down syndrome, but guess what? I'm bilingual.
I am in a regular fourth grade class.
I am employed.
I am a special
Olympic summer.
I'm a very fire.
I am an international global messenger for Special Olympics.
I am a chef. Yeah.
I'm a cover model.
For more information on Down syndrome, please visit Behavior Links.
We're really happy to have Change It Up for Downs at Benedictine High School today. For our guys, it's really important that as we're forming them to become men of Benedictine, that they're empathetic, supportive of, and just respectful of any type of person. And so as we're forming them, you know, men of Benedictine, they're friends with people who don't look like them, have different family backgrounds, but part of that is people who learn differently, you know. And so having Change It Up for Downs here today is a celebration of that, and it's an opportunity for our guys to continue to learn and grow into the men of Benedictine we want them to be. And our good friend and director of marketing here, Lynn Schroeder, has been awesome at bringing this organization to us. And when she brought it up to us, we said, how could we say no? And it's an exciting day. We're really excited to have you guys here. Get to dress down for a good cause, support a wonderful thing. It's been a great kickoff.
I think the impact that's going to have here is a lot of students, like our school is very diverse already, and I think just bringing that other side of the world that people don't really see a lot, and they think like it's like, oh, you feel bad for this person because their son has Down syndrome or their daughter has Down syndrome, but it's truly a gift from God that each of these kids are built this, because they have their own special things. Jenna, she's deaf, but she's always bringing joy, always laughing with everybody, hugging everybody, and then obviously some of the other bad parts, but she's always fun to hang out with. And then it's just that diversity of life that you don't get at other schools. We have it here, and it's just seeing that second part of that world. When I first met them, I was really scared and how I would react to them, and just overall what the experience was going to be. So and once we're kids right now, but once we're adults and stuff, we're going to run into someone with Down syndrome, and have knowing how to react in that situation, helping them. It's a big part of life, and if most of our kids here can get that opportunity now, it's a big plus going into the real world.